The controversy of tail docking in Australian Shepherds. Australian Shepherds. The tale of tail docking practices. Since their inception, Australian Shepherds have captivated dog lovers around the world with their intelligence, agility, and loyal nature. However, behind their charming appearance lies a controversial practice known as tail docking. This article will explore the history, reasons, and arguments for and against tail docking in Australian Shepherds. Tail docking, also known as bobbing, involves the amputation of a dog's tail. The practice dates back centuries and was originally performed for practical purposes. Working dogs, such as Australian Shepherds, were docked to prevent injuries while herding livestock. The rationale behind this practice was that by removing the tail, the dog would be less prone to tail injuries, such as fractures or dislocations, while navigating through rough terrains or being kicked by livestock. Traditionally, tail docking was carried out within a few days of birth, when the puppy's tails were still relatively soft and easy to mutilate. The procedure involved cutting the tail with scissors or a knife, followed by the application of a caustic substance to prevent bleeding. The healing process was usually swift, and the wound would eventually heal without any complications. However, as time passed and society became more aware of animal welfare, the moral and ethical implications of tail docking came into question. Critics argued that docking a puppy's tail was an unnecessary and painful procedure, akin to mutilation. They claimed that the practice caused unnecessary pain and discomfort to the dog, detracting from their overall well-being. In response to these concerns, several countries around the world have introduced legislation to ban or restrict tail docking. For example, in 2004, Australia prohibited the docking of a dog's tail unless it was proven to be necessary for medical purposes. Similar regulations have been enacted in countries such as the United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Canada. Supporters of tail docking in Australian Shepherds argue that the practice still holds practical benefits. They maintain that by removing the tail, the dog is less likely to suffer from injuries, especially when engaged in physically demanding activities or working in hazardous environments. They also argue that docking enhances the dog's appearance, conforming to breed standards and traditions. Additionally, proponents of tail docking in Australian Shepherds claim that the procedure is less painful than critics suggest. They argue that when performed by a skilled veterinarian within the first few days of a puppy's life, the procedure is quick and relatively painless. They cite studies that suggest that puppies undergoing tail docking exhibit little signs of pain or distress afterward, and the wound heals quickly. However, opponents argue that the perceived practical benefits of tail docking are outweighed by the potential harm inflicted on the dog. They contend that there is insufficient evidence to support the claim that tail docking prevents injuries in working dogs. Moreover, they argue that the procedure can lead to complications such as infection, chronic pain, and neuroma formation. In recent years, a compromise called docking by design has emerged. This practice involves selectively breeding Australian Shepherds with naturally short tails, eliminating the need for surgical intervention. By focusing on breeding genetically tailless or naturally bobtailed Australian Shepherds, advocates aim to preserve the breed's appearance while minimizing the need for docking. In conclusion, tail docking in Australian Shepherds is a highly debated topic within the dog community. As society's understanding of animal welfare evolves, the practice has faced growing scrutiny. While some argue that docking a dog's tail is a necessary precaution to prevent injuries and conform to breed standards, opponents contend that it is an unnecessary and painful procedure. The concept of docking by design offers a potential compromise, allowing breeders to preserve the breed's appearance without resorting to surgical intervention. Ultimately, the future of tail docking in Australian Shepherds lies in the hands of those who seek to strike a balance between tradition and animal welfare.